Respected Mr. Nusrat Sahab, Honorable Chief Guest, General Ihsanul Haq, respected ladies and gentlemen, students, dear students, Assalamu alaikum. We know we are short of time, but even then, whatever I have in mind, I would like to communicate very briefly. I would just like to express that the topic is very big. It has so many perspectives. And just to shorten it up, even then, there are certain contours which remain to be focused upon, and that is what I would like to do. But I would first like to thank Mr. Nusrat Mirza and the Rabta Forum for giving me the opportunity to listen to the views, to gain knowledge, and to take part in the discussion. Thank you. Global power shifts, they are significant to all of us because even though they are global, they have an impact. They are likely to create turbulence, and that turbulence can be strategic and political because either they change or they resurrect an existing international order. So we know, according to the topic, there is Pakistan's economic and security challenges within the paradigm shift which is occurring. So I would like to point on security. Now, global power shifts, as we know, they keep on changing. So the 21st century sees power shifting to Asia, while regional states in Asia are interacting to broaden their power. These shifting strategic priorities have made the world more complex. Asia has remained dominated by European colonialists for nearly 2 centuries and by the United States through its financial cumulative efforts since the last 2 decades. An establishing order which is occurring now and which we can see is where China, India, and Japan are coming up as Asia's leading global players. The end of the United States' unipolar domination of world affairs. Asian powers are emerging as multiple poles in Asia's strategic structure. With Russia also joining as a Eurasian power, it is all leading towards an unbeatable strategic alliance or unbeatable strategic triangle. We need to understand more. The topic is what we need to do. So we need to understand more of geopolitical, geoeconomic, and security dynamics of Asia before this paradigm shift has implications for South Asia in general and Pakistan in particular. Security is an essentially contested concept with no universally accepted definition. So to Pakistan, the exact essence of national security cannot be relished without attaining a resilient economy because the contours of a new economic and political geography within South Asia is clearly emerging with enhanced activity among China, Pakistan, Russia, Iran, Afghanistan, and Central Asia. A new global economic order is here to replace the one that existed since the end of the Second World War. This is invariably complex as it depends upon continuously shifting set of economic relationships. This transition already has an influence on the thinking patterns, politics, cultures, and economic development in the region. So this new geography is primarily driven by economic proximity rather than a security-led paradigm. Several countries have taken progressive steps by merging trade with foreign policy objectives. Pakistan needs to do the same and develop medium-term economic growth goals to be owned and delivered by the highest office of the state. The twin phenomena of strategic peril and economic promise pose a daunting challenge to synchronize with the global transformations But Asian governments have been unable to meet the challenges in face of perceived external threats to their security and great power ambitions pursued through domination of others. So economic shift to Asia has implications for the balance of strategic power. The security of South Asia is better thought of as a series of concentric but overlapping circles. The center of gravity of the world economy is now Asia Pacific. Hence, great power interest in South Asia is not limited to Afghanistan, but broadened to include its potential as a market, as a source of military power, and extends to interests in its stability. The rise of China in her quest for primacy, first in Asia and then globally, with a hierarchical view of an international order in the BRI, that is the Belt Road Initiative, poses challenges to the established order of Western primacy and uncontested American supremacy. Pakistan, placed in the political geography of major power politics, has economic and strategic implications with any change in the interest of these states. It enjoys an all-weather friendship with China and is the recipient of aid and infrastructure as an emerging developing economy, but it will be an indirect part of Chinese effort of linking East Asia, Middle East, Africa, and Europe by the new Silk Road. So Pakistan is also an ally of the United States. In face of China become the largest economy in 2014, in face of purchasing power, the fastest growing G20 economy, the world's largest exporter with an enormous leverage in influencing trade networks, the United States will find it increasingly difficult to regain its position of global economic dominance. China and Pakistan have long been sharing strong political, cultural, and economic relations, amplifying their engagement to secure their respective interests within and outside the region. Sino-Pakistan link is being eyed by India as being focused against it, but there is also the Indo-US strategic partnership being viewed by China as a close tilt towards the United States, particularly after signing of the civil nuclear deal in 2005. India and China are not only focused on complex boundary questions, but they have strong trade and commercial linkages. Within the South Asian security mesh, China has the policy of string of pearls, which is a set of geopolitical, military, and commercial activities in the Indian Ocean, stretching from mainland China to Sudan. This is a clash between former US President Obama's policy of Asia pivot, the Afghan problem, and Sino-US competition in Central Asia. So China also has been trying to gain full membership of geostrategically vital regional fora, that is the SAARC. Within this changing global security environment, there is the difficult US-Pakistan relations, which present complex economic links, and earlier direct US military actions in Pakistan soil, which has upset a large number of Pakistanis. Considering Pakistan's relations with India, South Asia will remain a conflict-prone area. Both countries have inherited their core issues, especially the Jammu and Kashmir issues since partition in 1947. The ongoing quest of Kashmiris on their right of self-determination is creating a deep rift between Pakistan and India, which can only be solved by multilateral efforts, hindering rapprochement between the two major stakeholders. Thus, the balance of power in Asia revolves around the maintenance of the nuclear and conventional military equation between India and Pakistan on one hand, and power play among United States, Russia, and China on the other. So bilateral strategic partnerships in defense cooperation are hindering strategic stability. So Pakistan's strategic restraint regime proposal can address the security challenges. The security situation in Afghanistan has deteriorated despite the presence of a unity government and consultation groups for all ethnic divisions. United States has announced to further develop its strategic partnership with India by giving it a bigger role in Afghanistan. US actions for Afghanistan have created multifarious challenges and threats for Pakistan. India gaining an extended foothold in Afghanistan has multiplied the external threats for Pakistan in terms of low-intensity conflict on the western borders. Domestic complexities and have also been increased. So India is there in the Gulf, and United States' bitterness against Iran has contributed to the deteriorating security situation in Balochistan. US-India strategic partnership in the nuclear field does not bode well for regional security, and Pakistan needs to closely monitor these US objectives. The engagement of Russia in South Asia is a pragmatic approach for both India and Pakistan towards peacekeeping and peace building in Afghanistan. But India is ready to counter Sino-Pakistan friendship and also sustain strong economic bonds with China. In the emerging geopolitical trends, Afghanistan and energy-rich Central Asia constitute the heartland of the great game, and whoever dominates will dominate the era. India is reaching out to the Central Asian states via Iran, bypassing Pakistan. So Pakistan has emerged as a decisive partner to help China, but both of them need to develop their more economic prosperity and links, and Pakistan's third deep sea harbor, the Gwadar port, acts as a link between the resource-rich Middle East, South Asia, and emerging resource-loaded region of Central Asia. So Pakistan, in this complex geopolitical structure, must capitalize on the economic benefits of regional connectivity with neighboring Iran, Afghanistan, China, and Central Asia. Strong ties with Russia will be a pragmatic approach, especially in Russia's view of its commitment to the principles of conflict resolution, which will help both India and Pakistan to resolve their issues peacefully. Since its inception, the predominant sector of Pakistan's security has been external military threats from a belligerent neighbor. Nonetheless, the political elites and policymakers in Pakistan must realize that solely countering external threats should not be the only framework of national security. It is indispensable that high attention be paid to economic threats and economic insecurities under the umbrella of national security. A consensus on medium-term strategic economic growth goals should be owned and implemented by merging trade and foreign policy objectives. While India has started investing in Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, Pakistan should think of widening the security links towards Iran and Afghanistan. Diplomats must be equipped with adequate skills to articulate the country's economic value proposition to the region and rest of the world. Private sector should be mainstreamed in a new economic growth strategy. The power dynamics is undergoing a shift, but cooperation and competition, partnership and not dominance, may give a more positive prospect for developing states and emerging economies like Pakistan, if understood in the right direction by the powers to be. Thank you.